Order. I've called the Honourable David Parker. Question
Thank you,
6.
Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Broadcasting. Does he agree with the New Zealand Herald headline, quotes, "Axe falls on last public service channel"?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
No. The sub-editor might have done better justice to an otherwise excellent article by using the headline, "Labor promised channel would be self-sustaining, but had no plan for how that would happen."
The Honourable David Parker.
How can that denial have any credibility, given that the Television New Zealand Chief Executive at Commerce Select Committee this morning conceded the Herald headline was correct?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
Well, Mr Speaker, just as I'm not responsible for the headline, I'm not responsible for what the Chief Executive says.
The Honourable David Parker.
Supplementary.
Order. The Honourable David Parker.
Can the Minister confirm that he declined the request which TVNZ today disclosed at Select Committee it had made to get at least some direct funding to keep TVNZ 7 running? And will he agree to release all of those proposals and all of the related correspondence?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
I'd be very happy to release the proposals because what they ask for is more government funding, which we just don't have.
The Honourable David Parker. Order. I want to hear the member asking his question. It's very hard to hear when there's a lot of interjection. Honourable David Parker.
Isn't the reason that those reports haven't been released publicly until now because they embarrass the government, which has been widely criticised for privately subsidising TVNZ's competitors through preferential deals on tens of millions of dollars of frequency licence fees, but won't support Television New Zealand?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
That member might say the government's been criticised, but we've also had quite a lot of support for our broadcasting policy. This quote, "We need a strong, modern public media that crosses platforms, is agile and does not require a bottomless pit of funding to prop it up." That's Claire Curran, the opposition broadcasting spokesperson. This quote, "For 20 years TVNZ has done what successive governments told it to do, make money." That's from Brendan Burns. And this very good quote from 2 days ago on Red Alert, "Let TVNZ go off and be a commercial broadcaster." That's Chris Hipkins.
Now, how many times do I have to tell senior members, this applies to senior members, that when I get to my feet, they sit down immediately? Those final parts of that answer were not really required to answer the question. Supplementary question, the Honourable David.
Is the Minister irked that his colleague, Minister Joyce, is subsidising TVNZ's private competitors while he's having to cut public service TV?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
I totally disagree with the premise of that question.
The Honourable David Parker.
Isn't the other reason the government is subsidising Television New Zealand's overseas-owned competitors but withdrawing support for TVNZ's public service functions that it makes TVNZ drop public services, which is patently clear, become more commercial and therefore easier to sell in the future?
The Honourable Jonathan Coleman.
Just sounds like a wild conspiracy theory to me.
Question number 7, the Honourable Toh